IP addresses we've already established in the video entitled TCP/IP Basics that TCP/IP is the basis for our networking communications functionality, and that every computer must have a unique IP address. Well, IP addresses themselves were originally split into a number of classes. Now, there's actually more than just 3 classes, but there are 3 classes of IP addresses that we utilize to address our computers using IP version 4. That's a little clue about something that's coming up later as well. So let's just go through these. There's Class A, Class B, and Class C. Now, Class A, you will always see the first octet, or that first number in that group of 4 numbers separated by periods. It will always use the first full octet as the network ID. So in this instance, the IP address is 118.112.3.199, and 118 is the network ID, and 112.3.199 will be the host ID. Okay, that first octet, that's 118 in my example here, will always be between 1 and 126. So anytime you see an IP address that begins with a number between 1 and 126, you're looking at a Class A address. Okay, Class B uses the first 2 octets as a network ID, and so for example 142.112.3.199 uses the first 2 octets, 142.112, as the network ID. The last 2, 3.199, would be the host ID in this example, and the first octet will be between 128 and 191. Now, some of you are looking at the screen right now saying, hey, wait a minute. The first Class A addresses goes from 1 to 126. Shouldn't Class B start at 127? It looks like you're skipping some there. And yes, we are skipping some. And the 127 address space is used for other things, and we will talk about that a little bit later on. The Class C IP addresses use the first 3 octets as the network ID in an IP address, and so notice 196.112.3.199 is a Class C address, and so 196.112.3 is the network ID, and .199 is the host ID of the computer that has this address. Now, the first octet in a Class C address will always be between 192 and 223, and everything above 223 is reserved for other purposes. And so just make sure that you memorize this, make you a little table, and just memorize what the Class A, B, and C addresses are. They will ask you on the exam, they'll show you some IP addresses, and they'll ask you, is this a Class A, B, or C? Sometimes you'll have to know it based on that first octet. If you can see the subnet mask and you can see the 255s, then you can very easily figure it out. But just make sure you're familiar with these classes and you can recognize them before you go take the exam.